world, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Keely and I am in the process of applying for a PhD program. I also make book related content about all kinds of books, but lately it's been primarily nonfiction with some fiction thrown in there. I wanted to go ahead and get my next vlog started. I finished my last one and forgot to put an outro, and then I edited it and I had planned on filming an outro for it, but then I uploaded it and was like, oh well, it's done now. So sorry that my last video did not have an outro. In this video, over the next week, I'm going to walk you through as I am starting the application process. I've decided that I'm just going to go ahead and get started on them, and also doing a ton of reading, which is the theme of all of this. So if this is your first video, hi, like I said, my name is Keely. I am in the process of doing some independent research, independent study, while building up to apply to a PhD program in the fall. The way that it works, at least in the United States, is that you apply through the fall and then it is for the following fall. So I will be applying for fall 2024 for a start date of fall 2025. I have narrowed it down to two programs that I will be applying to. One is a PhD in history and one is a PhD in women and gender studies, but both of them are potential opportunities in order to research what I want to look at more, which is Korean and Japanese war brides, slavery, and forced prostitution anytime that there has been an U.S. military installation overseas. And so that is really what I'm going to be looking at. I need to do a couple things in order for both of the applications to get started. The easiest thing that I can do thus far is upload my resume and begin and set my intent that I am going to be applying. Then I need to work on personal statements and statement of intent, and then the biggest pieces are GREs for one of the programs, and then also a writing sample. So I don't have a writing sample that I can use. I might be able to dig and find a paper that I wrote in college or grad school and edit it, but because it's been so long, I got my master's in social work in 2015, I think it's probably a better idea to write something new, which is a little bit daunting because I haven't written a paper in a long time, but that's okay. But I will talk more about that as I'm working on things. For right now, I wanted to kind of go over the books that I've been reading and the books that I will be picking up over the next week. So the first one that I am currently reading is Queer Asia. This is a collection of essays and research on decolonizing and reimagining sexuality and gender, all from different years of the Queer Asia conference that was hosted. The Queer Asia conference is a conference that is held, I don't think they've held it for a couple of years, but I'm not positive about that, but it's held completely free. They do everything based on volunteering, and they are trying to, at least in one of the years, their focus was on decolonizing. And so this idea of queer is a very Western term. And so even categorizing things as East Asian is also a very Western thing. So how are you able to identify people that identify as queer or a version of it from where they're from within the Asian diasporas and also in those countries? This is a collection of some essays and research. So you can see I went through and I tabbed off the ones that I thought would be most applicable, none from Southeast or South Asian areas, only ones that are Eastern. So only ones that are Eastern. So if it's references China, Japan, or Korea, that is where I have tabbed off and the ones that I will be reading. I'm trying to use it also as a jumping off point because I'm pretty sure that my paper that I will be writing, my writing sample, will be focused on queer Asian identities, but I could also go a different way, which I'll talk about in a second. I run a book club for work, and I've talked about it in a lot of videos at this point, but we are picking up a book for May and June that is a nonfiction, and the one that everyone voted on was The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein, A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America. I've heard amazing things about this one, and people in the group are very excited to get to it, so I am equally excited. What I would like to do is get started and read the preface. Just be ready for May and June to dive into the actual book itself. And like all of my nonfiction, I will be writing all over this one. That's typically what I do. I grabbed Fledgling from my TBR cart because I have now completed this one. Really enjoyed it. Fledgling was one of our picks for March and April for my work book club. The other one was Beloved. I have not finished Beloved, but I did finish Fledgling earlier today. today, and I really enjoyed it. So this one, I would say, like, going into it, just be aware that there is sexual violence in this one, and also it is a vampire story, and it is about Shori, who is a vampire that wakes up one day in the woods and can't remember anything about herself, and then a man driving through the area where she wakes up discovers her and decides that he's going to keep her. And she is, however, she's a vampire, so she's actually older than she looks, but she looks like 10 or 12. And so there's that weird sexual relationship between the two of them where she's a vampire, so it's not real. She's also older, so it's just weird. It's a weird dynamic. It is a very, like, uncomfortable dynamic to read about, and throughout the whole thing I keep remembering, like, she looks 12, she looks 12, like, so it definitely has people taking advantage of her, even though she's a vampire. It's a weird, if you read this one, share your thoughts, like, let me know what you think, because I know that Octavia Butler really likes to play with relationships and sexuality, but this one made me feel pretty uncomfortable, so I do want to look up some articles and, like, blog posts about this one that I can share with the book club for work. But overall, I did really enjoy it. This one talks a lot about race and racism, even within the vampire world, and I just thought it was wonderful. I'm so happy that I read another Octavia Butler. And I need to dive back into Orientalism by Edward Said. I read the first couple of pages of this one at the airport, which is actually where I found it. Where I found a copy was at the airport, but I have not picked it up since then, so I need to get back into it. This one is basically like a textbook at this point. I don't know if that's the vibe that he was going for when he wrote it, but that definitely is how it kind of presents. So I want to get through this one and this one because these two together are, I think, going to be a very interesting mix. Orientalism is a book that came out 25 years ago or longer at this point. This is the 25th anniversary edition, so I don't know when the first was actually published, but it's a groundbreaking critique of the West's historical, cultural, and political perceptions of the East. And I know there's been a lot of criticisms towards this, but I also think that it will be a very valuable read, so excited to dive into that one. Then one that I'm very excited to pick up that has nothing to do with any of these is this one, which is A Square Meal, A Culinary History of the Great Depression by Jane Siegelman? Siegelman. Is it? Oh, this stupid sticker is in the way. Jane Siegelman and Andrew Coe. And I've heard that this one is really good. It was a recommendation from one of my friends, so I want to read this one. I also would really like to pick back up Pleasure Activism because I got up to there and then haven't picked it up since then, but I would really like to. It's a collection of essays and research and kind of responses to a whole bunch of different things that all have to do with activating your body and feeling things in your body and letting that kind of guide you through life. And so it's pretty interesting so far, so I want to get back to it. And it wouldn't be a Keely vlog if I didn't go to the bookstore and get more books. Let me put those down. So I went to the thrift store after work yesterday. I had a very stressful day and I was like, I'm gonna go walk around the thrift store, and it ended up being a good trip. So I found On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong for $2.99. Ocean Vuong is Vietnamese, I think queer, and an author that a lot of people really, really love. So I am super excited that I found this one. This is their novel. I know that they have another book out that I think is a poetry collection, but I'm not positive. But I'm so excited that I found this one because I had planned on buying it anyway, so I'm happy I saved money. Then I found a Haruki Murakami, which is Blind Willow Sleeping Woman, 24 stories. So it's just a collection of Murakami's short stories. I found another Kazuo Ishiguro that I did not have, and this one is The Remains of the Day. So I have Never Let Me Go and The Buried Giant by this author. Have I read anything by this author? No, but that's okay. I don't care. It was $1.99, so I'm happy that I got that one. It definitely looks like someone kicked it around because, like, the cover is all kinds of wonky, but whatever. And then I got two more. I got Shanghai Girls by Lisa See, which was only $2.99. I haven't read anything by this author, but very excited to have that. And then one I was really excited to find because I had seen this one before and was going to buy it, but I didn't, is Beautiful Country by, is it Qian? Julie Wang, and this one is a memoir about being Chinese American. So very excited to have another memoir. The memoir that I'm currently reading is this one, which is Minor Feelings by Cathy Park Hong. I haven't picked this one up in a little while, so I want to over the weekend. And then I'm also still reading The Making of Asian America. I'm also still reading Where Research Begins, and I'm also still reading Flowers of Fire. So I am finishing some books, but very slowly because I'm reading a lot of things right now. And my goal is obviously to finish all of them and have the content in my brain, but it's more important for me to take my time with things and kind of slow down and enjoy the content. But let me grab stuff off the printer. What I also did was I grabbed a binder that I had from when I was in doing my master's of library science class, which I only took one class. That's all I could afford, unfortunately. I would love to go back at some point and finish that master's, but that's been put on hold indefinitely. But I have that binder because I printed out, so I need to staple together and hole punch a bunch of articles and dissertations that I could find writing about Korean war brides and Japanese war brides and Americanism and how society treats them. And so I'm super excited to dive into all of these. So I need to put that binder together. But for right now, I have a bunch of stuff that I need to get done before the end of the day for work. I'm just on break right now. And then hang out with my husband. And I think tomorrow we might go hiking. So that would be a lot of fun. It's supposed to be nice this weekend. So hopefully getting a lot of reading done outside. But wanted to come on here and get another reading vlog going. Zoe. 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 What are you doing? Hey. Zoe, can I have it? Come here, Zoe. Okay, so I owe you guys an update. I am currently downstairs, decided to set up down here. I'm sitting on the floor. Sometimes you just gotta sit on the floor and figure out your life. It is super early on Monday. It is not even 9:30, and I've already had one meeting so far for the day. And of course my hair's gonna do a thing. Right in the middle of the meeting, I looked over towards the front door and there was a freaking huge ass spider. And between the meeting super early on a Monday morning and the spider, I was like shaking from adrenaline and stress. That sucked. But the spider is gone now. I got rid of him and my meeting is over, so that's good. Over the weekend, we hung out on Saturday. We went for a hike first. And then we just kind of hung out for the rest of the day because the hike kicked both of our asses. It ended up being about an 8-mile hike, and it's one that we've done a billion times. We love it, but it was just like really hard this weekend for some reason. We were both at the end of it like, Jesus, that sucked. But it ended up being good. Sunday, we woke up early and we went to Princeton. So we don't live super far from New Jersey. And Princeton, New Jersey is a very, very high income, very fancy area because of the university over there. But there's also a really cute like downtown area. So we went to downtown Princeton and we went to Small World Coffee. If you've been over there, it's super cute. It was crazy busy for a coffee shop on a Sunday morning, but I guess that's to be expected. So we both got coffee, and then we went to a local park and just sat in the park and read for a little while, which was lovely. We love doing that. We're trying to do that every weekend, is get coffee and go to a park and just read. Like just get some outside nature time every weekend. So some weekends we will go hiking, some weekends our Saturdays are busy, so we will end up doing probably Sunday, or well, sometimes Saturday morning, but it could also be Saturday or Sunday morning that we'll go. And so we did that, and then afterwards we checked out a bookstore there called Labyrinth Books, which was amazing. And then we also went and had tacos at this super cute place that's right next to Labyrinth Books called Taqueria, I think. They have Brussels sprout tacos, or you can get Brussels sprouts on it. So good. I know Brussels sprouts get a bad rap, but just don't steam them. Like, just cook them any other way, and they're really good. I got a bunch of reading done. Of course, I then bought more books, but the 2 of the 3 are upstairs, so I will show them another time. But I wanted to walk through the books that I'm currently reading, because I read a lot of books at once, and it does get overwhelming after a while, especially if I'm not finishing books. I would love to finish 2 books today if that's possible. I don't know if it's gonna be possible, but I'm really gonna try. But I don't have like any other meetings. I have therapy this afternoon, but then like nothing else for the rest of the evening, so I'm really hoping I can finish 2 books. The book that I've been reading over the weekend is Gun Island by Amitav Ghosh, and I am 2/3 of the way through this one. Really enjoying this one. So I bought this one last year because Emma from the channel Emmy was reading it for one of her classes. She was doing a undergrad in English literature and something else. I can't remember what else, but she took a class on climate fiction, and this was one of the books that she read, and it sounded super interesting. So this one is all about Dr. Dean Datta, who is a rare book seller. And in his hometown of Kolkata, he comes across a relative who ends up telling him about this like mythological story about the gun merchant of Bengali. It's a legend. And then he ends up getting kind of wrapped up in the process of trying to determine the story and what all of the different terms within the story mean, and what it could mean for where it takes place, which is in the Sandabar area. And there's a lot of change happening in that area because of weather, so like typhoons and things. And my nails are messed up. I was in the process of painting them, and then does anyone else have a problem where you paint your nails and then you immediately mess them up, so you have to take it all off and start over? Because that happened to me so far today, so that's fun. But I'm loving this one so much, and like I said, I'm about 2/3 of the way through this one. I would love it if I could finish this one today. I don't think that will happen because I do have so much and then still work, but we will see. Then I haven't picked up in a while Minor Feelings, but I really want to because this one is not that long, so I didn't think it would take me that long to get through. I just haven't read it at all, so I want to read more of Minor Feelings. This one is a memoir by Kathy Park Hong. Really, really need to get the chapters read for The Making of Asian America, because I would love to have this one read before the start of next month, or at least like be finishing it up at the beginning of next month. I have not picked up again Where Research Begins, so I need to do that. And then another one that I'd like to keep making progress on is Pleasure Activism by Adrienne Marie Brown, because she has another one that I would like to read, so I really would like to read more sections of this one. And then I grabbed another one because of course I did. This one I haven't started yet, I just got this one. But this one is called Viral Justice, How We Grow the World We Want by Ruha Benjamin. And this one I found at the bookstore in Princeton. And it says, long before the pandemic, Ruha Benjamin was doing groundbreaking research on race, technology, and justice, focusing on big structural changes. But the twin plagues of COVID-19 and anti-Black police violence inspired her to rethink the importance of small individual action. Viral Justice is a sweeping and personal exploration of how we can transform society through the choices we make every day. Benjamin vividly describes such problems as the chronic stress of racism, the trauma of police practices, and the inequities in education and healthcare, and profiles individuals and grassroots groups that are confronting them and making a difference. So this is a collection of the different interviews and different organizations and like people and what they're doing, and then also talking about the things that are happening in the world. And I just flipped through and looks like one of the chapters might be on climate. There's some author notes, some other stuff at the beginning, so I would really like to get started on this one. But right now I am taking a short break to recover from the meeting and then also the spider and try to fix my nails. I was planning on doing like a obnoxious pink and blue for spring, but we'll see how this ends up going. So I just wanted to come in, do a quick update on my reading and where I'm at. I was looking into other PhD programs over the weekend. Princeton University has PhD in history with East Asian studies, but their language requirement is way more intense than some other ones. So I'm thinking that I will not go for East Asian studies specifically because of the language requirement. And that basically means that you have to be fluent or at least somewhat proficient in at least more than one language. And I am not. And so Princeton has 2 languages. You have to be able to read in 2 languages, which is a huge ask for someone in my position, in that, like, I'm trying to apply soon, so it just wouldn't happen. The other 2 that I'm looking at, so one is a PhD in gender studies, and then there is a specialization within it on gendered borders, and that is very fascinating to me. That's really what I'm looking at here, with the way that, like, we know how patriarchy functions in the United States, but looking at how U.S. military installations in Korea, Japan, Vietnam, and the way that men treated women from those countries during wartime and after leads to things like people writing books like Memoirs of a Geisha and things like that. And not saying that that author shouldn't have written that. I haven't read it, so I can't tell you. I don't know a ton about it yet. But in my head, that is where there's a link there. Gendered borders. So I have I've mentioned before, I have a minor in women and gender studies, have read a lot of feminist works, have worked in victim services and social services for 10 years. I think that would be an easy transition into a grad program after having been out of school for 10 years. I do have my master's in social work. Or the other program is a PhD in history, and then would be leaning towards military history and East Asian history. I don't know. I think those are the 2 that I will be applying for. The one I did try, like, to get a profile going to start the application, and I think it's too early, which is crazy. How is it too early? But it didn't have an option for fall 2025 yet. It only had if you're applying for summer programs, so not PhDs. So I'll have to just keep hacking away at it. One update though is I was hoping to write my writing sample, my essay on Queer Asia, that book that I got, but after reading a couple of the chapters and flipping through it, I realized that that's not going to work because it's not what I thought it was. It's literally just people's individual research, and some of it is like art projects and stuff, so it's just telling about it. It's not like a comprehensive history, which I should have known going into it, but I was hoping that I would be able to pull something from it. So I have another idea. I'm thinking of maybe, I have a book, I have Memoirs of a Geisha, and then I have a book that's actually from a geisha, and so maybe I'll compare and contrast those 2, do like a book report, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Right now I'm just gonna continue to try to get a lot of reading done and work through where research, what's it called? Work on where research begins, and move into the next chapter of this one and see kind of what's going to end up happening. I just have a ton of reading that I am doing, and I want to do a 24-hour reading vlog where I try to read for 24 hours because people really like those. I really like watching when people do that. I'm not sure when I'll do that yet, but I just wanted to give a quick update. I want to give you guys another reading update. I've just been working a bunch and also playing Disney Dreamlight Valley and reading. But I have a stack of books here. Sorry, my neck like really hurts. I don't know what I did, but I hurt my neck. Reading a handful of books right now. I finished Gun Island by Amitav Ghosh. Really enjoyed it. I thought the ending was kind of abrupt and not what I thought the ending was going to be. The book ended up being something that I didn't think it was going to be. I guess I didn't really look into it a ton. I knew a little bit about what it was about, but it was really interesting reading books that are like climate fiction, and I definitely want to read some Kim Stanley Robinson, who is known for writing like climate science fiction. I have one of their books on my Kindle. I think it's like 2145, something like that. It's like 800 pages, but I got it on my Kindle because it was a daily deal the other day. So I want to read that one. I finished that, and then on my Kindle, I am now reading 2140. It's New York 2140. That's the name of it. On my Kindle, I'm now reading For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. I started that one last night and I read the first couple chapters. That one seems like it's a Little Red Riding Hood kind of retelling where the second child I think it's like the second daughter is given to the wolf in the woods as like a sacrifice or something like that. I've only read the first couple chapters, and that's really what the setting is so far. Red is the main character, and she is at this ball in a bright red dress, like preparing to be sacrificed. Then I am reading a bunch of other books. As always, I decided to then pick up Memoirs of a Geisha. I am going to be writing my essay for applications for PhD programs on Memoirs of a Geisha, and then the autobiography of the actual geisha that Arthur Golden interviewed in order to write Memoirs of a Geisha. So I want to like compare and contrast the two. And Memoirs of a Geisha is already pretty problematic in how Arthur Golden is writing, and I am not far at all. It starts off with a fake translator's note, which I had to look up at first because I was like, I didn't know this book was translated. It's not, it's fake. There's a fake translator's note at the beginning, and I'm already like writing all over this book because even from the context of how the fake translator is talking about geishas, it's very othering. So he describes this geisha having a strange life, an unusual subject, and also calling her life a saga. And it's just very like, also refers to geishas as butterflies, and it's very othering, it's very objectifying. So I think that's really going to continue to be really telling for how he wrote this book. So that was the beginning, and then that's the how it starts, and then it also compares geishas to prostitutes and calls them prostitutes their lower class counterpart, and so it's just, yeah, I'm writing all over it, and then as the book actually gets started, you're introduced to the main character, who is supposed to be 9 years old and has already been naked in front of a grown man, so that's something. And then the main character's name is Chio and becomes Sayuri later on. And really you're just getting introduced to Sayuri and her family, and there's a conversation at the beginning about fishermen being very suspicious and like beating their little girl, like beating their daughters if they get near their boat. Again, like this othering thing. It's weird. I think this is going to be a weird one. I'm going to be writing all over this. So what I need to do is get a Word document going or something on my Notion page where I am keeping track of all of the quotes and trying to categorize them and separate it out by chapter. Because if I wait to do that until I get a couple more chapters read, it's going to be a lot. So I think I'll probably go chapter by chapter and have things written out of like how he's writing about them. So it's pretty interesting. I also want to get more of Orientalism read. Like I said many times at this point, I started this one at the airport when I found a copy in the airport bookstore, but then have not continued, and I really need to because this is going to be very important for my essay and for eventual PhD. I then have another fiction one that I haven't picked up in a while, and this is Red Sorghum by Mo Yan, which is for the Chinese book club. And I was saying 4 books, but it is actually 5 books. I somehow completely missed the 5th book. But this is the second one that I am reading, and I read the first couple pages, and then I was looking up the history of the Japanese Sino War, which was the Japanese-Chinese invasion and war. I was learning a little bit more about that because that's really what this one is about. And then for my work book club, I decided to get a head start on The Color of Law, which is the first book that we're reading, well, the book that we're reading for May and June, because we're doing a nonfiction. This one is about redlining in the United States and the government systems that have created inequalities for people of color, particularly Black Americans, that were trying to get any kind of housing. So if they were trying to get a loan, if they're trying to get insurance, if they're trying to buy housing, if they're trying to buy land, all of these, he says it's de jure. It's, yeah, de facto versus de jure. So de jure segregation is where there are actual laws, and then de facto is there aren't actual laws. It's like societal discrimination. He is making the argument that there has always been laws in place and statutes and stuff that have led to, if it wasn't a direct like no Black people law, then it was something that was written in a way to eventually lead to inequalities. And it's been very interesting so far. As you can see, I'm already highlighting a bunch, and I only read the preface and chapter 1. So I want to read chapter 2, and then because I have all of May and June to read it, and it's only 12 chapters plus like an epilogue, I think, I'm going to probably read about 2 chapters a week, and then when I finish it, I'll do like a write-up for work. But yeah, so those are all of the things that I am currently reading. I just have a bunch of work that I have to get done today. I made a latte in my It Gets Worse cup that I love so much. And now what I have to do is work and then also take some breaks and get some reading done. But I wanted to get on here and do another update, and then either today or tomorrow close out this vlog and get it posted. And then I also want to come up with ideas for other videos that aren't just reading vlogs. But okay, I have stuff I gotta do. I gotta stop procrastinating. Okay, it is now Thursday, and I want to wrap up this vlog so I can start another one and really focus on reading. I started another book because of course I did. Yesterday I started Organ Meats by K-Ming Chang. This is one of the books for my May TBR, so I will be reading this one first and hoping to get it done quickly because it is not that long, and I am currently 30 pages into it, so I'm hoping today to at least get halfway through it. I am also about halfway through, or about a quarter of the way through For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. So far we've been introduced to a couple of the main characters, which is Red and her sister Neve, and Red is going to be sacrificed to the wolf in the woods because she is the second daughter, and there's this long line of the second daughters get sacrificed to the wolf to keep the woods at bay or something. I'm not entirely clear on it, but I am really enjoying that one. Yesterday, though, I took a long break for lunch. Well, a lunch break. I never take lunch breaks. I'm very much a working lunch kind of person, which is not good on days when I'm scheduled to be on later throughout the day, because working 8 to 5 with no breaks is kind of impossible, like without like a long lunch break. So I took a lunch break yesterday, and I took some books back to the library, and then I also went to the thrift store because I had a copy of 100 Years of Solitude, and I really wanted to read it, and then I got rid of it. And I don't know why I do this, where I buy books, I get excited to read them, and then I get rid of them. And well, I know why I do it. It's a space thing. I don't have a ton of space the way that my office is set up. I could change it, and I've been thinking about changing it, but I also kind of don't want to, where I have 2 main bookcases and then a smaller one, and then I have a book cart, and I could theoretically swap out my 2 bookcases for 2 bigger ones, or get a 3rd bookcase and just move stuff around. I could, but I also don't want to because I kind of like how my office is set up. Anyway, so I went to the thrift store to look for 100 Years of Solitude, and I did not find a copy, which is annoying because I've seen a billion copies there. But I did finally find a copy of The Joy Luck Club. Somebody finally donated their copy of The Joy Luck Club. So happy that I didn't spend $11 on this on Amazon because I got it for $2.99. Very, very excited to finally have a copy of this one so that I can read through it. And I guess this was someone's name. I'm not sure. It looks like they paid $1.49 for it, and they definitely wrote in it. But rude. Okay, I just got spoiled on something because there's like a character chart at the front, and they just wrote dead across one of the character names. Oh my god. Okay, that's annoying. But so this is a copy that someone definitely wrote in, but it doesn't look like they wrote a lot other than dead. But I picked up some other books while I was there, and I figured that I would show you guys these books, and then I will wrap up this reading vlog. Well, this vlog. So I picked up a copy of The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, which I have never read before, but people really, really like it. So I decided that I wanted to go ahead and grab a copy. I have no idea what it's about. Then I grabbed a book called Morality Play by Barry Unsworth, and the cover is what really got me. And then it says it's shortlisted for the Booker Prize. It's a medieval murder mystery full of the wonders of time and lessons for our own time by a master storyteller. It's a cold winter in the 14th century, and a young renegade priest, Nicholas Barber, joins an acting troupe who prepare to play the drama of their lives. Breaking the tradition of only performing religious plays, the group's charismatic leader, Martin, wants them to enact the brutal murder that has torn apart the rural village into which they have wandered. A young boy has been found dead, and a mute and deaf girl has been arrested and stands to be hung. As the troupe delve deeper into the circumstances of the murder, they find themselves entering a dark world of intrigue that may prove their undoing. So it just sounded really interesting. It says that Barry Unsworth lives in Italy. He already won the Booker Prize. Interesting. So he won the Booker Prize and then had a second book shortlisted. So super interesting. Really excited for this one. And I think one of my friends will also like that one. Then I grabbed this one, which the cover also got me. This one is called Creaturely and Other Essays by Devin Johnston. This one is a bunch of essays about animals, and I think it's going to be weird. So I'm not entirely sure, but I am excited because I've never heard of this one. And I don't think this one will take me that long to get through. So I'm excited to have another short one, especially one that's weird. Then I grabbed The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri because I've never read anything by Jhumpa Lahiri, but I know that it was turned into a movie, won the Pulitzer Prize, also wrote The Interpreter of Maladies. Haven't read that one either, but I always see Jhumpa Lahiri's books at the thrift store, and I decided that since it was there, it was $1.99, why not get it and see if I enjoy their work? Then I grabbed this one, which is Sovereign by C.J. Sansom, which is, I think, the second book in the Matthew Shardlake mystery series. So I have the first book, Dissolution. I'm pretty sure that's the first book. Oh, this is the third one. Oh well. So I have the first book upstairs. I think you can read these in any order. I don't think you necessarily have to read them in sequential order. I have not read the first one yet, but I never see these books there, and I was excited that I found one, so I decided to just pick it up. And these are also set in like older times. So this one is about King Henry VIII, and I try not to read too much on the back of them. But I have the first book because I have a poster in my office that is a scratch-off poster of like 100 books to read before you die, and Dissolution is on there. I really want to dive into that series. And then the final book that I grabbed is this one, which is The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart, which is, I think, the first book in a series for kids, and I have seen this one at Barnes & Noble. I think they just made a TV show or a movie or something because it was really popular very recently, but I wanted to go ahead and pick it up because I love middle grade and it's been a while since I read one, and it's supposed to be weird, so I'm excited for it. So those are all the books. I also then got 100 Years of Solitude. I got the green cover that looks really cool off Amazon because I had to order coffee filters anyway, because I have a small coffee maker, and so the filters have to be small ones, and so I just get them off of Amazon. But that will be here later today. I am just going to spend today and then through the weekend. I mean, I have work today and tomorrow, but I'm going to spend a lot of time just kind of reading and hanging out. We have plans Saturday afternoon with friends. We do virtual game nights every couple weeks where we get to do a different campaign because we have a bunch of campaigns going for Dungeons and Dragons. In this campaign, I play a Gloomstalker rogue, if you were wondering or have any idea what that is. Not my favorite character. My favorite character is in my husband's campaign, where I play a cleric mountain dwarf, and she is just my favorite character that I've made. But we're doing that on Saturday, and then just hanging out Sunday. We might go back to a local coffee shop. I'm not sure. We were talking about this yesterday, that we are surrounded by really, really good coffee in this area. Like, we're within like a 20-minute drive of some really yummy local coffee shops. So I'm very much enjoying this journey of finding all these coffee shops and then going to them. Anyway, I am going to wrap this up now and then just get some work done, get some reading done. It's supposed to be like 90 degrees out today in Pennsylvania, so I will be hanging out outside getting some reading done later in the afternoon when there's lots of shade for my ginger lily white skin. But let me know if you've read any of the books that I've talked about and what you thought of them and what are you guys reading, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.